History is ripe with stories of human beings looking for a leg up on tragedy. But in the absence of human inventions like medicines and weaponry, or their inability to prove fruitful, many have turned to the gods in their times of need. Some, however, have looked for their signs ahead of time, hoping to one-up death itself. In various cultures across the globe, oracles have been said to be gifted with interpreting these omens directly and to speak for the gods, divining the futures of those who visit them. Other creatures, like the Irish Banshee, visit the unfortunate, offering their omens without an intermediary. Today, we're talking about the strange history of death and its omens. In November of 1966, the West Virginia town of Point Pleasant was rocked by sightings of a mysterious figure. The creature was described as being large and gray with a 20-foot wingspan. The first reported sightings were those by two young couples, Roger and Linda Scarberry and Steve and Mary Millette. The group told police that the creature's eyes glowed red as it reflected the light of their car's headlights. Over the following month, media sensation began to pick up as others reported sightings of what they began to call the Mothman, due to its visual identity being similar to that of the Batman television series. Then, in December, the town was rocked by another horror, the collapse of the Silver Bridge. The bridge collapsed during heavy traffic, killing 46 people. With the news media already swarming the town, the two stories quickly began to blend. Soon, sightings of the Mothman were reported ahead of the bridge collapse. Over the next 30 years, Mothman was sighted periodically across the country. But when newspapers in the country of Georgia reported sightings of Mothman ahead of the Moscow apartment bombings of 1999, the Mothman's legacy as a death omen was cemented. For as long as humanity has looked to the skies for answers, we found omens in the form of comets that lit up our skies, and perhaps none is as infamous as the Halley Comet. The comet has been attributed to sightings every 74 to 79 years as far back as 467 BC as different comets, but its reappearances along an elongated orbit were not understood until 1705, when its journey was traced by Edmund Halley. Halley didn't live to see his predictions proven true. In 1835, author Mark Twain was born alongside the comet's arrival, and he died upon its return in 1910. In 66 AD, historian Flavius Josephus considered the star resembling a sword, as he called it, a portent of the destruction of Jerusalem by the Romans, who themselves saw it in 837, when the Roman Emperor Louis the Pious tried to ward off its ominous call with fasting, prayer, and alms for the poor. In 1066, the comet occurred alongside the Norman conquest, and in 1456, when the Ottoman Empire invaded the Balkans. But perhaps no omen of Halley's Comet was as dark as the convoluted tale of its history with the Black Death. Those who hypothesize this state that in 536, a piece of the comet broke off and hit Earth, blanketing it with atmospheric dust and lowering temperatures worldwide. The global cooling event is true, but its cause remains unproven to this day. Proponents of the Halley Comet theory say the resulting conditions led to widespread drought, famine, and eventually the bubonic plague several hundred years later. The Black Death was the most fatal pandemic in human history, with upwards of 200 million deaths across Europe.
So nice to talk to someone you love.
In Germany, the doppelganger is a body double believed to be harbingers of death. In Ireland, a similar concept was the fetch. The apparition of the living, in both cases, was said to be an omen of impending death. In modern times, the German doppelganger has stood out as the English preferred term of choice. I guess we couldn't make fetch happen after all. The Banshee is an Irish fairy known to foretell the death of a family member with her blood-curdling screams. The Banshee is described with long hair, with a somber gray cloak over a white or green dress. Her eyes are said to be red from weeping, and her complexion is as ghostly as those she warns. Sometimes she's described as screeching as if in pain, while other times she is described as wailing a tearful lament for the soon-to-be departed. In nearby Scotland, the washerwomen, or laundresses, are spirits of a similar figure, said to haunt lonely streams, washing the clothing of those about to die. Like the Banshee, they are said to sing a mournful lament as they wash the clothing of someone who is about to meet a violent death. The laundresses are said to have died in childbirth. The women in white are spirits found all over the world. And like the laundresses, they're said to be spirits of tragedy and loss. And they've been known to appear to warn others who may be doomed to similar fates. The death wails represented by those stories can be found in cultures across the world. Similar to the screams of the banshee, the devil bird of Sri Lanka, or ulama, is said to shriek at night as a portent of death, while the Maori have the hakawai. The hakawai was a mythological bird rarely seen but often heard. It was said to descend to earth at night, and hearing the hakawai was said to be an omen of war. And what always comes with war but death? Nearby the Mothman's West Virginian haunt, the belled buzzard has been sighted across Tennessee, Virginia, and North Carolina starting in the 1850s. The buzzard is said to appear as a typical vulture, but affixed with a bell that tolls to warn of oncoming death. In 1878, the buzzard was sighted during an epidemic of yellow fever in Brownsville, Tennessee, leading to some labeling it an omen of death, which isn't surprising, considering that historically, church bells have been rung on 3 occasions. A passing bell warned of impending death, while the death knell is a bell that is rung immediately after one dies. The corpse bell lives on in the modern-day funeral toll, rung during a funeral procession. A similar tradition is that of dead bells. Like many Christian practices, the church officially did not condone the use of dead bells, which were baptized and rung to chase off the evil spirits that sought the recently departed. Interestingly, like the belled buzzard and the Mothman, both the ulama and the hakawai have been suggested to be causes of local birds, with sightings of the hakawai deteriorating alongside the extinction of the sub-Antarctic snipe. It's not surprising that there's a long history of bird-related death omens. A bird flying into a home has been believed to signal impending death, and a group of crows is called a murder, due to the historical belief they signal death and illness. In ancient Rome, the hoots of owls were said to foretell the death of several Roman emperors, including Augustus and Julius Caesar. Augury was the practice by which priests would divine meanings from the birds. These omens were divided into 2 categories: those requested by man, and those offered spontaneously by the gods. The priests, known as augurs, would divine meaning from how various bird species flew, ate, or sung, and the founding of Rome itself is inspired by this practice. As the brothers Romulus and Remus debated where to build the city, both took to watching the birds for answers. Romulus saw 12 vultures, while Remus saw only 6. As far as I can tell, none of the vultures were belled. Okay guys, that's it for me today. I'm running out of time. I have at least 3 more of these that I have planned because this is such an interesting, large topic, so make sure you're subscribed and have an awesome week. And of course, check out my podcast, That Which Doesn't Kill You, where we talk about all sorts of fearful and deadly things. So check it out. Alright, bye.
It's only around $4 for a 10-minute STD get-together.
As low as that?
Even cheaper over shorter distances. So nice to talk to someone you love.
Never knew STD costs so little. I found the twins too.
Someone needs to hear